the arts.
I'm Noah Van Orstrand.
I'm Andrew Van Orstrand.
And we play in the Great Bear Trio.
And you're listening to WMNF Tampa.
The opinions presented on the Healthy Steps show are the evidence-based opinions of Dr. Fred Harvey, the callers, and his guests. These are not the opinions of the staff, the volunteers, or the board of WMNF. The information provided on the show is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. There is no implied patient-physician relationship in these calls. The nature of the calls is educational and informational only.
Good morning to you, my treasured listener. It is so dang good to be back in the harbor of the studio with you and Dr. Harvey here on the Healthy Steps radio show on WMNF Tampa, the benchmark of community-supported radio from Tampa Bay to the Gulf of Mexico, and the only station that Guy Montage streams when he's not out starting fires. And you can stream us as well at WMNF.org. Every Monday on the Healthy Steps show, we present an almost Socratic edition of what we call Ask Me Anything Monday. If you have any medical questions or concerns, please give us a call at 813-239-9663. Sage would love to get you in the queue, so jot this number down, 813-239-9663. You can also send an email to dj@wmnf.org or text us at 813-433-0885. And a heartfelt welcome and good morning to you, Dr. Harvey. It feels good to settle into this Arnie Jacobson burnt orange egg chair here at the WMNF studio. So let me throw open the windows and let even the neighbors listen in on the Healthy Steps radio show. Take it away. What have you got for us today, Dr. Harvey?
Well, thank you for that wonderful intro, Bill.
Always my pleasure, and welcome to the show. I hope you had a wonderful Valentine's Day, you and Juan.
It was a beautiful weekend, and I got to share the love with my grandson and my parents, and take them some chocolates from this amazing chocolate shop. I love local businesses, and Bradenton has a shop that's been here for about 50 years, I think. It's called Richie's, and boy, do they make some good chocolate.
Oh, quit teasing us all.
Well, drive down sometime, because they're really wonderful people, and it's just I just love to get the local stuff instead of buying that stuff that's made by a corporation somewhere in New Jersey or whatever and shipped out around the planet. This stuff was made like yesterday, and you can tell.
Well, the best kind, but what have you got for us today, health-wise?
Health-wise, I told you I'd talk about statins this week because some really interesting information came out in just this past month, I believe. Let's see, what's the actual date on it? Oh, it was actually this month, and its actual publication date is Valentine's Day. What a great day to publish something about the heart. So what this interesting study showed us, they looked at, I believe it was 23 different studies that had at least 1,000 participants in it. I think what they ended up with was something like 125,000 total participants over 4 to 5 years. So we're looking at like 500,000 patient years. So we have a lot of data here. And what's really interesting is that it shows that the things that, I have to preface this. The nature of the way we look at the efficacy and safety of medications is very, very detailed. And so to protect people, the FDA requires that we report a lot of adverse consequences. Anything that a patient experienced during a trial is supposed to be reported in the trial data. So if 1 out of 100,000 people had their left great toe with a hangnail on it, then it has to be reported. Is it in any way associated with the taking of the medication involved? Probably not. And in fact, it's really likely not, because this large randomized, or no, this large meta-analysis. Meta-analyses are studies that look at other studies. And they take very strong studies, and then they analyze them together using statistical techniques to help understand what the meaning is of all these trials together. And what it's telling us is that the adverse consequences that are listed on most statin packaging are really simply things that happen to people. The amount of adverse consequences in the studies was pretty much equivalent to the amount of adverse consequences in the people that took placebo. So there are a couple of things, though, that do show up that are real. Everyone has had evidence of this, and we know that liver enzymes can go up when you take any medication. Statins work in the liver. So yeah, you're going to see things like that show up. But the things that most people are worried about, the crazy stuff that's showing up in great ways, people are concerned about cognitive impairment, depression, sleep disturbance, peripheral neuropathy. There's basically no evidence that these actually are related to the statin use. And this is especially true in people that have not had any kind of event, and they're using it to treat cholesterol and not an underlying disease. And so what it's suggesting is that really statins are very safe. And so there is risk, though. And so you don't want to take a drug unless you really have to, because statins are associated with dose-dependent increases in new diagnoses of diabetes. But that's, from my perspective, because people are using the medication to treat an underlying metabolic lifestyle and dietary problem. They're not exercising and they're eating junk. And so they're using a pill to treat the sedentary behavior and the lack of a good diet. Yeah, you're going to end up with diabetes. I don't think the actual medication is really causing it. I think people aren't paying attention to the rest of the story. They're expecting the medication is going to solve the problem. However, really, there are not that many people that absolutely need statins, and cardiology is getting a little bit better about identifying it. Recent publication, this one is June of last year, points out that using a new way of looking at risk, it's called PREVENT, P-R-E-V-E-N-T, all caps. It's an acronym for a group of risk identifying equations that can be used to see if you need a statin. They found that when you apply the PREVENT equations, this is new stuff, 2023, they updated 2013 recommendations, and they basically came up with a realization that many people that are on statins don't need them. Many fewer U.S. adults are eligible for primary prevention statin therapy. And primary prevention means you've never had an event, and we're going to treat you to prevent the first event, when in fact we could actually treat your lifestyle and your diet and get better results. Because you don't want to get diabetes from not taking care of the lifestyle stuff and take a pill to hide the problem. So like 17 million people are currently prescribed, but they're suggesting that maybe 4.1 million don't even need it. Or even 44% of adults that are currently taking really don't need to take them. And that kind of leads into, some of the understandings of really what, people talk about cholesterol and genetics. And in reality, only about 1 in 250 people, or 0.4%, that's less than 1% of all people, have a condition called familial hypercholesterolemia. And these people are, they're relatively uncommon, 1 in 250. But if you get both of the genes that predispose you to that, one from mom and one from dad, that's only 1 in 300,000. It's very rare. But it's kind of underdiagnosed because most people just get the cholesterol treated and don't think about why it's there. You can go into more detailed analysis and figure out why it's there. And the inherited high cholesterol is the one that the newer cholesterol medications are made for, the ones where you inject the medication because you don't respond to the normal lipid manipulation with statins. You need something different because you have a genetic abnormality that changes this. But on the other hand, there are people who really need intervention. There are people at very high risk vascular patients really deserve to have a bit of prevention. And statins do prevention. So somebody who's had a prior heart attack and has diabetes and maybe still hasn't given up the cigarettes, that person deserves to have something to reduce their risk. Somebody with peripheral arterial disease, you have arterial disease in your legs and you get pain when you walk, but also have diabetes and high blood pressure. Yeah, that person's at high risk. They need to get that cholesterol down. Somebody who's had a previous stroke. Yeah, these are people at risk and really need it. So anybody who's had multiple major events, peripheral arterial disease, heart attack, stroke, recent angina, acute coronary syndrome, meaning go to the hospital with chest pain kind of thing. One major event, if you've had one of those things, a stroke, a heart attack, but you also have ongoing problems like your age is over 65, you have diabetes or high blood pressure, or you smoke. Or chronic kidney disease, that contributes. They're all the chronic kidney disease, vascular disease on the same spectrum, all on the same spectrum. And so those people deserve to have treatment and shouldn't be scared about taking a statin because it will reduce your risk of sudden death. That's really the best part of it. It reduces your risk of sudden death. And so my goal is to help people have information that helps them understand how they can avoid things like sudden death. And this is it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking a statin if you have a medical problem. There may be something wrong with taking it if you don't actually have anything other than high cholesterol, which is not a medical problem. It is evidence that you have a medical problem. What medical problem is it? Find out and treat it. It may simply be that your lifestyle is bad. And so we can talk about all these things. This is Dr. Fred Harvey. This is the Healthy Steps Show.
Indeed it is, and I do have Jerry from St. Pete waiting in the box, but I'm going to remind folks, as the doc said, you are listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. We want you to join the queue, cozy on up to Jerry there by giving us a call at 813-239-9663. Sage is in the control room just waiting to take your treasured call. You can also send an email to dj@wmnf.org or text us at 813-433-0885. And to circle all the way on back to call on in, that special number is 813-239-9663. Good morning to you there, Jerry. How are you doing today?
Hey, good morning, folks. So, Doc, it's a sunny day. It could be there's no missiles raining down on us or drones or anything like that. However, and so just a big question, Doc. I'm not saying this is not a light question. So, what I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, is like, can you summarize to date the Kennedy recommendations? Good or bad? I heard him saying. I just heard the quote, the audio quote of him snorting cocaine off toilet seats.
Oh, that's a good one.
Which I've never heard before. But in that light, are there some things good, like with the reduction of the SNAP benefits or non-fluoridated water? What would you say are the positive things that have come out of this, which I think there might be some? And then what is your summation of where we go from here? And do you want me to stay on the line or do you want me to hang up? What do you want?
It's up to you either way. But the bottom line with RFK is I think that he's a well-intentioned clown who knows nothing about medicine, medical care, or the actual concept of universal health care or universal health promotion. I think he has been right.
That sounds correct.
Yeah, I mean he's been affected by,
and that's generous. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really think he's intending to do harm, but he's such a completely disconnected clown that I don't think there's any way he could do anything cogent to help human health in America or on the planet or anywhere. I think that his carnivore diet is weird. I think all the people he surrounds him with are weird insta-grifters, and I'm not interested in hearing his message. I don't listen to him except so I can make fun of him.
Okay, so the only thing that comes up with me is the word clown. I mean, I got that. That's
Yeah.
consistent.
Well, isn't that
Clown
the
thing
entire
keeps coming up, like
administration? It looks like the
bozo,
Keystone
like
Cops. Whoop, 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 whoop.
so that's it. But do you want to comment on the specifics, like some?
No, because his specifics are inane bullshit.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Not really. I'll let you know when something comes up, I
Yeah,
guess.
we'll
But
do
honestly,
that.
it's more like watching reality TV and laughing, dude.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting, but I'm calling you because you know your chemistry. I'm comfortable with that.
Well, no,
Okay.
line items make sense. Get rid of the dyes out of our food, please. That makes sense.
Right.
But at the same time, the EPA is going to approve 2 PFAS herbicides to poison our food with. Get real.
Yeah, no,
Get real.
but it's complicated. So if there's any other highlight items, I want you to talk about them. Okay.
Okay, I will. You can be
Thank
sure of
you.
that. I love
Have a
to.
good week. Have a good week. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you there, Jerry. And I've got Norm and Ina in the line, but I want to fill on up this board a little bit more than that. I'm going to invite you to participate in the Healthy Steps Radio show with Dr. Fred Harvey by calling 813-239-9663. That number once again is 813-239-9663. And continue to send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. Good morning to you there, Norm. What have you got?
Oh, my goodness gracious. I was getting ready to talk about something else, but Dr. Harvey put the wind in my sails. This my well-intentioned clown. Oh, my goodness gracious. But Dr. Harvey, what did that find to add to that, say a little bit on that one with you, too. One is it's not only him, but the nature of the people who surround within government that knew this guy but put him in there anyway. And also, I wanted to ask you about now whether the CDC or what's left of them are hiding the fact that measles is a major problem in this country now, something that we thought had arrested, that because of this well-intentioned clown and the people who enablers that put him in here, we have created quite a healthcare crisis, and even the fact that we've changed the protocols, if you want to say that, in terms of vaccination and misinformation that is put in there. I just wanted you to talk about because you put too much wind in my sails, so today,
Yes.
so I could go on and on. But you oh my goodness gracious, on point.
Thank you. Did you have a question today?
No, I wanted you to ask about the measles.
Okay, yeah. I don't know if the CDC is obfuscating anything, but I would expect that anything coming out of this administration would be something you couldn't trust for the most part. And so, but there are other public health agencies that are watching, and the measles outbreak in South Carolina is at a level that may actually end up removing America's status as having eradicated measles from this country, and because the outbreak is so big, and it's probably going to keep growing. And yes, there probably is obfuscation because we know that a lot of government agencies, especially in the South, seem to hide things that aren't very pleasant. Like we just heard from Amy Goodman's and that other documentary's good work about how hideous the criminals that run the Alabama torture system are.
So you would attribute this directly, this outbreak, and
I'm sorry?
you would attribute this outbreak directly to RFK.
No, I would attribute it directly to the massive disinformation campaign that goes around the crunchy granola community on socials.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, the trad moms aren't vaccinating their kids.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you reinforced and what you've articulated, and let people know what's really going on. Well, maybe one more question: how long do you think after this administration is over that we will take to recover from this period of unenlightenment, if you want to call it that, for us?
Depends on what administration follows up. We may remain in a dark age for a while because they've done some really good work with gerrymandering. We'll see this coming fall whether they've been effective at preventing the vote.
And this is not something, I guess you would agree with me that this is something that not only affects this country, but it's has what we call manifestations. You use that word, worldwide.
America's decisions affect the globe, period.
Oh.
It's frightening to think that clowns are actually affecting the lives of 8 billion people right now.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's a kind of really reality TV wake-up call.
And one of the things that has happened is that we've drawn support. Just putting words there, but you would say we've drawn support of many of our public health directives in other countries that we used to lead, or the research is what the research.
Unfortunately, there's a global system set up that's still in place and isn't going anywhere. The fact that we pulled out of the WHO is, it means we're not going to fund some of their programs for a while, but we'll be back because there's only one planet, one human family, and national borders are simply set up by colonialists to make sure they can make profit. So once we understand that there's only one actual global nation with lots of cultures, and we work together to lift up the planet, we'll be in a better place. But we've got to get rid of oligarchs before we can do that. We've got to figure out how to rein them in. Maybe just simply taxes.
Okay.
Well, we did it before. So anyway, what else do you have as far as a health concern?
Well, there was a medication that's widely used. I think it's given orally for diabetes. But one of the side effects of it is we get what they call a necrotizing, what they call fasciitis.
That's actually something that happens in people with diabetes generally. Necrobiosis diabeticorum is a disease that is associated with diabetes. So, no, that medication isn't the one responsible.
Yeah, this one takes place around the genitals, is what I understand. It's some type of syndrome. I stumbled across a friend of mine called me and told me about this type of the medication. That's when it's used. And so, are you aware of it? But if I had more, I would
suggest that
and had more information for you. To give
the likelihood of that happening is probably 1 in a million. Haven't heard of it in any of my clients, or haven't read about it either. So, other than as a diabetes condition. But Norm, thank you. I'll move on to Ina now.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Yes, indeed. Ina's been waiting patiently. Let's go to Ina in Sarasota. Good morning to you there.
Good morning. Thanks for taking my call. Dr. Harvey, I was wondering, is there a natural way to treat hypothyroidism, or I was just wondering what you would recommend?
Well, hypothyroidism means the gland is not functioning well, and it could happen from a variety of things. Sometimes autoimmune diseases, inflammation decrease the efficacy of the gland, and then you might actually need hormone replacement. But could be that there is something interfering. It could be an ongoing inflammation, or it could be a lack of adequate iodine intake. And those things can be looked at.
Oh, true. Okay, true.
If the TSH, the TSH is the chemical that's usually used to assess whether or not you have hypothyroidism initially. It's a screening test. And if it is anywhere between 5 and 10, it just means your pituitary is looking for a little bit of help. And maybe a tiny bit of iodine could do it, or some vitamin A, or some tyrosine, or other things to help support the thyroid gland. Also, protein malnutrition helps to turn off the thyroid gland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you're not eating enough protein, you're not going to make thyroid hormone.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Glad to help.
Thank you there, Ina. And let's go to John in the same neighborhood. Let's go to Sarasota with John. Good morning to you.
Hello.
Hi, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Great, Dr. Harvey. Great show. Hey, I am a male over 70 in relatively good shape. I have an enlarged prostate. I've had the MRIs. It's pretty large. They said 120 cc's.
Ooh.
The MRI stated no issues to further a biopsy, and the urologist is suggesting the prostate artery embolism. And then I mentioned that to you, and you said something about the green light laser. What should be my plan of action here?
Talk about all the options with the practicing urologist and get the best assessment of your needs, and go with maybe the procedure that seems to be the least risky and the most effective.
Okay. And now they were saying that the prostate artery emblems is very low invasive, but I'm not familiar with the green light laser that you mentioned.
It's a prostate resection. They go in through your urethra and they laser some of the gland away. But yeah, an arterial embolus is a relatively newer procedure, and it sounds like it could work. Minimally invasive. It'll shrink the prostate because it'll kill a piece of it by actually causing a prostate attack, like a heart attack.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your comments. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck with that.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you there, John. Let's go to Jerry in Pinellas County. Good morning, Jerry.
Oh, yes. I'm taking Xanadine 4 milligrams for muscle spasm. It seems not to be working. Any other suggestion?
I'm sorry, it's not working, and what?
Any other suggestion of the script for muscle spasms?
So you say, is there something else you could take?
Yes.
Yeah, there are many other muscle relaxants. I'm not sure why you take tizanidine, and so maybe evaluating what is going on with you and choosing a more specific muscle relaxer for your problem would be a good thing.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, you might want to go see a functional medicine doctor who often will provide a bunch of different options for you to help improve your health.
Okay.
Best wishes with that.
Okay there, Jerry. Appreciate that. And as the doc said, best wishes with that issue. Let's go to Sarah in Dade City. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning. I watched a quite frightening documentary, about 45-minute long documentary on German television this morning, or German news channel. And I want to ask you about this because it was news to me. And just as a side note, I wondered if this may have been what happened to me when I got some kind of strange infection right after, what was that, Irma that blew in 2017. So Cryptococcus gattii, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, Cryptococcus.
Yeah, so this one, it said there was a huge outbreak in British Columbia, and they thought it was brought up by, tropical storms because it's basically a tropical disease. Who would specialize in something? Is it just a basic infectious disease doctor that would know about this one? And they also mentioned, people are dying of these infections. And I, of course, over the years have heard about Candida, your basic yeast, fungal infection. But this one, with the GAT double T double I at the end. I was like, wow, how come we didn't hear about this? And they just entered this country, it said, in North America, I'll say this continent. It said, in the mid-2000s, like 2007 was the first reported case in Washington State. I'm wondering what you know about these fungal infections.
Well, Cryptococcus is extremely rare. It is maybe occurring in like 0.0004% incidence, like 0.4 per 100,000 population. I have never seen it in my 40 years of practice. Infectious disease doctors would deal with it. If you've got it, you're dying unless you get to therapy immediately. So usually it happens with people who are immune suppressed in a hospital. There tend not to be normal human outbreaks because you usually have to be pretty well immune suppressed to get this stuff in your brain.
Well, this one, that's interesting you say that because the documentary, they basically focused on two yeast fungal infections. The first one was this Cryptococcus gotti, where it was rare, but they said it came from soil. It came from soil. Now, the other one they focused on was the Candida, and it's spelled AURIS. And they said that was the one that, sick people can get very easily in hospitals. But this one from the soil, that was the correlation I was making in my own head.
But you're not going to get it from the soil because you're not going to get it in your own head. Unless you have some sort of immune suppression. Are you on chemotherapy? Do you have AIDS that's not treated?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to have a Cryptococcus meningitis. It's just not something to be worried about at all. Period.
Okay, so it doesn't come from tropical soil that can be stirred up from a hurricane?
Absolutely it can. But the chances of you getting it are 1 in 200 or 300,000. I'm not concerned you're going to get Cryptococcus unless you have another problem, unless you have AIDS, unless you have cancer and you're on chemotherapy. Things like that.
Interesting.
Cryptococcus is not relevant. And then Candida aureum is one that is a antibiotic or antifungal resistant one that happens in hospitals. So again, unless you're sick, immune suppressed, Louis Pasteur, the man who found penicillin for us, said it very well. It's the terrain. It's not the bacteria. And so if your terrain is good, you're not going to get Cryptococcus. If your terrain is bad, you're going to get it if you're exposed to it.
You're talking about susceptibility then, right?
Susceptibility is the bottom line. If you're resilient, you're not getting it. And so 99.9% of all humans are not going to be getting this. So nothing to worry about. The documentary was just like one of those nice little scary things.
Well, no, not from German television. It was actually very thoughtful and methodic, but I thought it was...
Yeah, thoughtful, methodic, and frightening. So it helped scare you about something that you'll never get.
Well, no, it was not like American media where it was like flashing at the top of every hour, be aware, this is going to kill you. It was really
but tell me something. Did you not get afraid about something you're never going to get?
No, I did not get afraid about something.
Okay.
What happened to me was I still am trying to figure out what happened to me in 2017, and this got the curiosity bug in me. Not going, oh my God, I have this.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah, that would be a good thing to sit down with a functional medicine doctor and go through your timeline on and figure out what happened.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Take care, my dear. Have a great day.
Bye.
Okay, thank you there, Sarah. And I do have Daniel from the Mile High City of Denver on the line, and I'm going to say that's proof positive that you can stream WMNF at WMNF.org anywhere in the world. But you can also participate by giving us a call at 813-239-9663 and can bring up your medical questions or concerns. That number again is 813-239-9663. Sage is doing an excellent job of lining you all on up in the queue. Let's go to Daniel in Denver. Good morning, Daniel.
Hi there. Good morning.
Hello. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent, thanks.
I recently started rosuvastatin.
Yes.
And I'd like to give you some background on it, and then see what you might recommend, or your opinion on my situation, if I may. I had 2 incidental CT scans, one for broken ribs to check the healing, and it showed calcium deposits in a coronary artery.
Yes.
And then about a month later, I had another CT scan of the head because I was having dizziness. They were checking for stroke because I have a blood disorder, polycythemia vera. Excuse me. And they saw calcium deposits in a cranial artery. And so I visited a cardiologist, and she looked at my cholesterol and gave me a score, a risk score. I don't remember what it was called, for potential heart attack or stroke, and I think it was 17 or so. And she said it was way high, and she wanted to start me on statins right away. I said, well, give me 90 days to try and see if I can get cholesterol down and blood pressure down. So during that time, I tried to, I did actually reduce sodium intake quite a bit. And I'm not a vegan, but I don't eat a whole lot of animal fat, meat. Excuse me. But my score did not decrease appreciably after the 90 days. So I decided, because of the risk.
Your score will not go down doing that.
Okay. Oh,
your score,
I'm sorry?
And your score will go up on rosuvastatin.
Well, okay. Well, let me finish this. I thought I could reduce cholesterol, reduce blood pressure, but I wasn't able to do either one. So because of that,
What methodology did you use to try and reduce them?
But dietary.
Oh, okay. Exercise?
Also, I exercise regularly.
Good.
I'll bike 30 miles 2-3 times a week, and then alternately I'll hike 4 to 5 miles. So that's my exercise. Not really aerobic as much, but just getting.
You're moving. That's good. Okay,
and so I decided to try rosuvastatin. I've been on it perhaps a month and a half, and my LDL went from 114 to 35.
Whoa!
And my HDL went from 50 to 55. So I've been told I have really good lipid panel right now. But
yeah,
what would be your comments on what I've given you there?
Well, from my perspective, when I approach somebody that has history like you, you have polycythemia vera and you have coronary calcium and cranial calcium scores or findings. I think that before starting the statin, I would like to know metabolism. And so rather than just a plain lipid panel, I would get an advanced lipids panel that includes particle breakdown and lipoprotein a. I would also get something from Quest called the Cleveland Heart Lab's inflammatory panel. It looks to see whether or not that calcified plaque is inflamed. And so you can see the inflammatory markers in your blood. And then I would also probably, since these were random x-rays that showed that you had calcium, I would probably proceed on to getting a coronary CT with a clearly AI plaque evaluation so that we know exactly what we're dealing with in your heart. And then a Boston Heart blood test tells us whether you, it's called a cholesterol balance test, and it tells us whether you actually make more in your liver or absorb more from your diet. And using that parameter, I decide whether or not the person is going on the statin before I ever even begin the statin. But it's a big workup, and cardiologists don't want to do that because they know that statins do have benefit.
I see. Okay. I didn't get everything down. I got a lot of that, what you said. But what was the first thing you said? Advanced
lipids from Quest. It's a breakdown of the lipid particles and other parameters within the lipid panel.
Is that something that normal health insurance would cover if I request it from my cardiologist? I mean, I have fairly good insurance. I don't know if that's something that...
Yes, the Quest Cleveland Heart Labs, the Advanced Lipids, the Clearly, CLEERLY coronary CT, and the Boston Heart Cholesterol Balance are all covered by Medicare.
Okay, all right. I just, I didn't really have that. That sounds like a great suggestion. I didn't really have the background or knowledge to know which test to request. I generally...
Yeah, exactly. And it's unfortunate that it seems your cardiologist didn't either, because they went right for medication instead of figuring out what your metabolic issues were before just willy-nilly randomly throwing a pill at you for the rest of your life.
Okay. And I'm not really one to just jump to taking pills, but...
Yeah, I know, but they convinced you to.
Prescriptions right now, so...
Yes, sir. So good luck with that. Keep us posted about what you figure out.
All right. Thank you so much for the suggestions. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you there, Daniel. Appreciate that. And I do have Chris from Clearwater in the line. And let's go to Chris. We're down to about the last 15 minutes of the show, so I'm also going to throw out the phone number. If you've got any medical questions or concerns, we might be able to slip you on in if you dial 813-239-9663. Good morning, Chris.
Oh, good morning, Doctor. Talking about measles, I just wanted to have you reiterate that the homeopathic nosodes could be an option if folks want to check out their antibody blood titers to see if they're well.
Yeah, actually, the homeopathic nosodes can help with your symptoms, possibly, but there's nothing like an actual measles vaccine to prevent the illness.
I myself, personally, I may have caught it, but I don't know. But if I didn't catch it in the future, if I have a functioning good immune system, I would rather have natural immunity for the benefits it confers, and not forfeit my natural immunity. I would
actually prefer that our population would consider getting synthetic immunity to actually end the current outbreak of measles that's going on in South Carolina, because what we know is that the synthetic immunity works very effectively to reduce the actual incidence of measles. And I don't know that there's any evidence anywhere that homeopathic nosodes help to reduce the incidence of measles. I've never read an article that proved that.
Oh, well, I've seen lots where people raise their antibody blood titers, but it's also.
But I've never seen an article that proves that homeopathic nosodes ever have reduced the incidence of measles. Have you found a specific article, Chris, that would actually say that the homeopathic nosode has proven to reduce the incidence of measles?
I'll have to go look in my archives because I haven't.
But I understand that people's symptoms change, but not necessarily prevention.
Right. Well, I'm saying that, like the vaccine, it's not a guarantee that you'll develop antibodies. So.
Yeah, but the vaccine, actually having been used as long as it has been, really pretty much eliminated the incidence of measles in America. Pretty amazing.
Well, I'm not sure about that because, in the news.
I'm pretty sure because we have really solid scientific evidence about that. It's like that way. When you have the science that proves it, then you actually win. And so we were winning with measles until the misinformation crunchy granola crowd headed by the clown RFK and friends keeps telling us don't do vaccines. Sounds like mumbo jumbo to me because I've never seen any kind of article that proved that not taking them was as effective as taking them. Have you ever seen that one, Chris? Thank you. Have a good week.
Okie dokie. I've got an anonymous caller in Tampa. Good morning.
Good morning. I just want to ask a question. Can you explain about sinusitis, if I'm pronouncing it right?
About what?
Symptoms. Sinusitis, is that right?
Describe what you're talking about or spell it.
Okay. My bottom of my foot is very sore and tender.
Oh, plantar fasciitis.
Yes. Can you explain the symptoms of that, please? Thank you.
So plantar fasciitis is pain on the bottom surface of your foot. The plantar fascia is the skin that covers the inside of there that holds it together. And actually, it's usually forward-leaning posture where you're actually leaning in. People with hammer toes tend to work on getting plantar fasciitis because they're stretching that skin on the bottom of their foot by leaning all their weight forward. You have to learn to sit back on your heels is one thing. There's a bunch of other stretching and other things you can do. Class 4 laser can help to reduce the inflammation and loosen it up. But you might want to see a podiatrist who uses a laser, a qigong specialist, somebody who teaches you how to do qigong. Standing posture work is amazing for getting rid of plantar fasciitis. I hope that helps.
All right, thank you very much. Great show.
You're welcome.
Best wishes with you that there. It's quite an annoying little symptom. I've got Waldo in St. Pete. Good morning, Waldo.
Yes. I wanted to ask about these beetroot supplements, whether they really work to lower blood pressure or not.
Well, I originally, when I made the move from traditional conventional illness care medicine to traditional conventional illness care integrative medicine, it's the same thing. We interchange a supplement for a pharmaceutical and think we're treating something. I gave up the treatment modality idea a long time ago, except for very specific acute problems, and rather would prefer to affect metabolism. So, I'd rather look at shifting everything. So have you ever heard of the DASH diet?
Yeah.
So the DASH diet is actually proven to reduce blood pressure. Do you follow the DASH diet?
No.
So it's really simple. It's a whole 30 kind of diet. It's a whole foods diet. You really get away from anything processed. You reduce your sodium. You increase your vegetables to 6 to 8 servings a day. You do lean meats, no sauces. Everything's just clean, easy, grilled, simple, steamed, and it's proven. It has proven to reduce your blood pressure significantly, and so. Eating beets is actually my idea of taking beetroot supplements. Chop up some beet greens, saute them with some onions, have that next to your steak. You're going to get arginine from the beet greens, and you're going to actually have the effect of that on your body. And if you eat the beet greens, you're going to get magnesium. Magnesium dilates, it relaxes your blood vessels. So the DASH diet is the place I would start, sir, rather than looking for supplements.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okie dokie there, and good luck with that there, Waldo. I've got Sam. Good morning to you there, Sam.
Hello.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
What you got, Sam?
Well, I had been having these CT scans done for a while for what they call lung nodules. One of them, I guess, was suspiciously enlarging. And back in July, they wanted me to roll into a PET scan. So I went to a PET scan. They determined it was sufficient of a malignancy scare to give me a biopsy. I got a biopsy. It came back that it was, what the heck was it called? Adenocarcinoma.
Okay.
There was
so you have an adenocarcinoma where?
In a lung lobe.
Lung, okay.
So, no problem there. I decided to go through radiation rather than the other option of surgery. I went through 5 sessions, and they kind of wanted me back like beginning of November, which is kind of my daughter's birthday, and then there's Thanksgiving holidays. I didn't want to risk having some bad news to hide, so I neglected it until January 9th. So I went in there, got another PET scan. They came back and said that Basically, there was a little scarring from the radiation, but there was no sign of the nodule.
Excellent.
But there was something else they picked up on that same PET scan was a parotid gland swelling.
Okay.
Parotid gland?
Parotid gland, yes. Your saliva gland in your cheek.
Right. So, unbeknownst to me, that's the first news I had of it. I went back and looked at the July PET scan, and it showed it as well. So why they didn't bring it up at that time, I don't know. But anyway, they wanted me to do an MRI. I started doing some research on the MRIs because, I'd already had lots of CT scans and a couple of PET scans, so I didn't know what I was dealing with there. And they wanted me to have some sort of a contrast. And when I looked the word up, gadolinium, it showed me it was a pretty scary hard metal type product.
Yeah. So what's your question about it?
Well, it was just like the night before it was scheduled to happen. So I called my insurance company and said, can I refuse the scan? They want it with and without contrast. Can I just refuse the one with the contrast and still have it covered? And they said yes. So I went in the next morning and I refused it. Of course, there was a big battle back and forth. They had to have a new doctor's order, and it took 3 or 4 hours. But I finally got the scan. But now I can't seem to get my test results back like I used to get them pretty instantly, but I guess my oncologist, may have had more of a pull on getting reports quicker than I can on my own and my primary physician. Anyway, the question really is, did I do the right thing by not having that contrast in my body when I don't really know what this ailment is with the parotoid?
Yeah, well, the contrast is in most cases pretty necessary to actually delineate the tumor if you have one. And so, yeah, you probably got a marginal MRI result that they're gonna be equivocal and probably say you need to get some contrast unless it's really an obvious thing. Most of them require some contrast to make sure you can see the whole thing.
Gotcha. And what are the side effects that would concern you about the contrast?
Virtually nothing. I've been watching them use gadolinium for 40 years, and I've seen from what I can tell, no adverse consequences from gadolinium contrast. However, you will see in environmental medicine conferences and naturopathic conferences people talking about gadolinium toxicity, but having practically billions of gadolinium MRIs over the past years, I know that there's a potential that metals cause issues, but I've not seen anybody that has any specific syndrome from gadolinium. So yeah, I don't know if anybody's had a problem.
Functional medicine people have been, trying to rid the body of heavy metals for a while. So I thought,
I just never found that gadolinium. I just never found that gadolinium was a toxic metal we needed to eliminate. But eating well and eating lots of greens eliminates it anyway. And one test to figure out what's going on in your cancer is probably a good idea. But I've got to run. Have a great week. I want to thank Bill for an excellent help there in the show, producing it. I'm not sure who's answering phones today, but thank you for doing that. And thank you all you callers for calling in and participating in the show. Got a lot of emails that I'm just not going to get to. Maybe we'll talk about some of them next week. Adios.
Okie doke. Thank you, Doc. And it was Sage answering the phones. Thank you again, Dr. Harvey, for another illuminating and beneficial Healthy Steps radio show. And to you out there, I want to thank you and all of our participants, listeners, and supporters. You make this show awesome. Sage, a huge thanks goes out to you for answering the phones and all that behind-the-scenes stuff. This show would not be possible without your assistance. Of course, you've been listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. Waiting for you like a dear friend is 5 minutes of NPR News, and then get ready for the Sustainable Living Show hosted today by John Butts. Until next Monday at 10 a.m., thank you for listening and supporting the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa, your community-conscious radio station. Stay safe, stay thoughtful, and know that you are loved.